U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses, weaknesses that we must correct.
A calm Sunday address turned into a thunderous political signal from Mark Carney. Canada's decades-long comfort with the United States is over. Speaking directly to the nation in a video titled Forward Guidance, the Prime Minister warned that what once powered Canada's prosperity, deep economic and political integration with Washington, has now become a strategic liability.
They believe we should wait it out in the hope that the United States will return to normal, that the good old days will come back. But hope isn't a plan, and nostalgia is not a strategy.
Hope is not a plan, and nostalgia is not a strategy, Carney said, arguing that the United States has fundamentally changed its approach to trade and global leadership, leaving Canada exposed to shocks it can no longer afford.
The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses.
The Canadian leader delivered a stark and unsparing assessment of the global economic landscape, pointing to tariff levels imposed by Donald Trump that he said echo protectionist policies last seen during the Great Depression. In his view, the shift signals that Washington is unlikely to return to its earlier economic footing anytime soon. The Canadian leader warned that Ottawa can no longer rely on assumptions of stability from its southern neighbor. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses, he said, framing the moment as a rupture in a decades-old economic logic. The message was blunt. Canada must rebuild its future without overdependence on any single partner. Unveiling what he called the Canada Strong strategy, Carney laid out an ambitious blueprint aimed at reshaping the country's economic foundations, mobilizing nearly $1 trillion in new investment, dismantling internal trade barriers across Canada's 13 provincial and territorial economies, and forging new trade and energy corridors designed to reduce reliance on traditional U.S.-linked routes. He also pledged to double Canada's clean energy capacity while accelerating global trade expansion, highlighting that Ottawa has already signed 20 trade agreements across 4 continents in less than a year. Canada has what the world wants, he declared, casting the country not as a follower of global shifts, but as a power preparing to redefine its place within them. Defense featured prominently in the address. Carney promised the largest boost in military spending in generations, saying Canada would finally meet the defense benchmarks expected by allies for the first time since the Cold War. He reiterated remarks made earlier at a Liberal Party convention in Montreal, where he said the era of Canada sending 70 cents of every defense dollar to the United States was over. In a symbolic moment, Carney held up a toy figure of General Isaac Brock, a hero of the War of 1812 who resisted U.S. invasion, suggesting that Canada has faced existential pressure from its neighbor before. With a review of the North American Trade Pact looming in July, Carney signaled that Canada's next chapter will be defined by diversification, resilience, and a deliberate recalibration of its historic relationship with Washington.
I know from experience that outside forces can sometimes seem overwhelming. My previous jobs at the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, it was part of my duties to make regular public reports on what we were doing to manage the economy. And I remember during the financial crisis, when there was a real risk of panic, I developed a practice called Forward Guidance. It was designed to assure people that however difficult the situation seemed on any given day, that we were acting, and importantly, that we would continue to act with overwhelming force against our problems until they were solved. And that's the spirit I'm talking to you about today. Security can't be achieved by ignoring the obvious or downplaying the very real threats that we Canadians face. I promise you, I will never sugarcoat our challenges. Instead, I will talk with you directly and regularly about our plan, why we're doing what we're doing, what's working, what isn't, and what we're going to do next. So here's the current situation. The world, as I said earlier, is more dangerous and divided. The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses that we must correct. Workers in our industries most affected by U.S. tariffs, in autos, in steel, in lumber, are under threat. Businesses are holding back investments, restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us. The U.S. has changed, and we must respond.
News never stops. The world keeps turning, and every turn tells a story. Wars, elections, geopolitics, Davids versus Goliaths.
While everyone is celebrating the US-China trade thaw, Trump has been quietly doing something else across Asia.
These were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting east and west.
But who's connecting the dots? Who's decoding the global storm? Welcome to Times of India videos.
You're watching a special edition of Global Pulse with me, Neha Khanna.
בהנחיה שלי ושל שר הביטחון ישראל כץ.
Durante este año,
We decode the shifting grains of geopolitics to you. From Washington to Wuhan.
Встановлені домовленості і сьогодні підписуються.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Just 2 years ago, Canada was one of the most popular countries for Indian students.
From Davos to Delhi, we track the decisions that move markets, shift policies, and shape the future. No jargon, no bias, just clear, credible, global journalism. Because understanding the world doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be smart. And that's what we do best. At Times of India videos, we don't just tell stories, we build perspective. We connect the dots between what's global and what's personal, what's happening out there, and what it means for you. It's fast. It's fearless. It's making sense of the changing world order. Times of India videos. Because your worldview is just a tap away.